Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So we've got another tactical debrief. It should be a really good one, hopefully. So what we've got today is the debrief of yesterday's mission, which was the what I call the fast, slow, dangerous strike. So just to show you what the mission, remind you what the mission was. We've got the blue guys here, about 12 guys, I think that was, and you got the reds over there. Let me just show you what we've got. Right, we've got roughly a red base over there with 4 respawning Mirages. We've got an SA-11 Bucksite with multiple launchers there, and we've got a like a power plant there that needed bombing, and an E2 AWACS there for the reds. So the blues simply had to bomb the SA-11 and put it out of commission completely and destroy the power plant there and get out. That was their job. And the reds were simply to intercept and defend their airspace. Basically, we had several flights. As usual, it was a fairly dynamic fight because we had several flights all in there at once, doing different things. So the only way we can really analyse this with any decent accuracy is to follow the whole fight through several times, each time with each flight. So, the first time we'll start with Dagger, which is the Vegans, controlled by Bloodknock, so stand by for that. Okay, so we're about to take off. Before we do, I must say thank you for people that let me know how to change these labels. I've now changed the labels and increased the amount of things shown on the labels for the planes that we've got selected. I'll quickly run through my chosen displays. So rather than ground speed, which we've had so far, which is a real pain in the ass to use when we're analysing flight, we've now got true airspeed, which if you look at our airspeed videos that I've just done a few days ago, it'll tell you exactly what true airspeed means. We've also got the altitude in feet above sea level. We've got the angle of attack of the plane, which you always want to know in any kind of manoeuvre fight. We've got the G-force, which we always want to know in any kind of manoeuvre fight. We've also got an interesting one here, energy. Now, there's 3 different types of energy that we can have to display on a plane. They can all be calculated with simple physics. You've got kinetic energy, which is what half mv squared, if I remember my A levels. You've got potential energy, which I think is mgh, isn't it? And you've got mechanical energy, which I don't know how to calculate that. So you've got the 3 different types of energy. Now, I've chosen kinetic energy to display, and my question is to you, the viewers, and to the Reapers, which energy is going to be most useful for us to display when it comes to shooting missiles and it comes to dogfighting. Is it going to be kinetic energy, potential energy, or mechanical energy? Because I don't know. I'm not that smart. You guys are smarter than me. If you want to figure it out, talk amongst yourselves and let me know, and we'll get it changed. Oh, and one more thing. I really want to display airspeed, either indicated or calibrated, because that's really useful to know. But when I turn it on, you turn it on in here. If I turn airspeed on, it doesn't appear. It appears to be bugged. If anyone has a solution for that, that would be much appreciated. Right, anyway, you don't want to hear me go on and on about that, so let's get underway. So, the first guys to take off, I mean, ideally we wanted the A-10s to take off first because they're so bloody slow, they needed a half-hour head start. But because of the nature of the Vegans, they wanted to get airborne ASAP and get over target straight away because the emphasis was on surprise. That's how the Vegans were going to survive, get in there basically before the Mirages were ready for them, and that makes sense. And the A-10s take ages to get ready. They take several minutes to align their INS, blah, 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 blah. So they just had to wait till the end. That's the only way we had to do it. Now, let's obviously speed it up. So, being Vegans, obviously they want to fly as low as they can. That is this friendly side of the mountains, and the hostile side of the mountains, because the hostiles do have an AWACS up in the air, obviously. So if they had flown up high, then the AWACS would have seen them and alerted the reds that they were coming. So instead they did this long, windy, wiggly road, which is exactly what they should be doing, through the canyons, and that got some really cool visuals as well, which I liked. So this is the dangerous part, because at some point they've got to go over some peaks, and you can see, just interesting there, we'll come back to this later, you see Coffee, a whole bunch of them basically have scrambled and headed east. That's because guys in Buick have been spotted because we were flying too high, but we'll go over that later. But the Vegans have got away completely scot-free because they kept low. Look how low. They dive over every mountain and keep, 100 feet off the ground at all times. Beautiful work all the way. Perfectly scripted. Very, very good. Nothing really to point out at this point except they're going bloody fast. They're, Mach 0.9 or just below, so they're going really fast. Yeah, 572 knots true airspeed. And they've chosen the perfect route. Look, they're completely covered literally until they get to the SAM, and that must be, I don't know, about 8 miles or something like that. And then they've even seen a small ravine that they can go down here where my mouse cursor is going, which allows them protection from that SAM, because that SAM is absolutely deadly. I don't know if I can put a cone there. You can see the cone there. It's 20-mile radius SAM. It's literally lethal within that radius. And they're well within that at the moment. So they're protected purely because speed and lowness. Let's run that through. We can see, technically there might be a line of, no, there's not a line of sight. You can see there's just a small, tiny little undulation. Just obviously that unit's displayed a lot bigger than it is in reality. So there's tiny undulation, just keeping Bloodlock alive, basically. He's now 2 miles away. Now he's done a pop-up. I think all of these guys were armed with Mavericks rather than bombs. I wanted them to have bombs, but they've gone for Mavericks. They chose that as the best. So they're going low. They're going about 100 feet or something like that. And let's play that through. And the speed's gone down. I guess they come off the afterburner. Now, I guess the reason for that is when the Vegan goes transonic, i.e. just below Mach 1, it's very difficult to control. It tends to dive. So I think he's slowed down in order to get maneuverability, and I think that's what he's done. So he's popped up here. He's done that to visually acquire the target, and at this point, this SA-11 will see him, but it takes several seconds for the SA-11 system to raise its radar, lock on, and fire. So he's got just enough seconds, as you saw in the movie, he's really slowed down quite a lot, look. So he's seen the target, manoeuvring onto target, everything's in very, very comfortable limits, true airspeed 500 knots, and POW, missile out at just under a mile, and that is one dead system. Now, the thing about the SA-11 is you can't just kill the radar, you've got to kill everything, because that is still technically a live system, even without the search radar. They can still fire optically, and I think they still have some kind of track radar within each launcher, so then they've got to go round, and so it's important that he keeps low, and they keep low, and they keep fast, to keep these remaining units from firing optically. So Blood goes off because he's fired his missiles. He's no use anymore. Boys go in now. That guy goes in for a sighting pass. Doesn't get a shot. Now, they were quite lucky, or I don't know if lucky is really the word, but basically the Mirages that were basically defending this target are up high. That guy's at 18,000 feet, and that guy, oh Jesus Christ, no wonder he died, 40,000 feet. Absolutely useless up there. I don't know why they would be suckered up into a big fight up there. They can't defend their targets up there. So, Blue Vegans won this target essentially because the Mirages weren't doing their job. They're up here dogfighting fighters rather than defending their target. So that's great to see that the Blue Vegans got in so well and undetected. Stahl has lost his speed, he's gaining speed now and coming back. Now this SA-11 now is looking for him and wants to fire on him ASAP, but we've got RBs out. It's a really slow missile. It's subsonic. POW. And POW. Go and have a look at that damage. That is a dead site. All launchers dead, everything dead, I think, except the command post, so that is completely neutralised. And they might even come back. Nope, they're doing a BDA now and checking that it's dead, and then they're happy it's dead. So far, Vegans, absolute perfection. No errors at all, which is wonderful. So the problem is none of these guys made it back, so that needs investigating. So let's go and try and find out where the first cock-up started happening. Stand by. There was the first cock-up. It's Trash. So what did Trash do wrong? Stand by. He crashed. Oh dear, Trash. So he's coming in slowly, doing his BDA, not pulling any Gs. Where's his height above ground? It's like there, height above ground, 230 feet. So does he just slam into the ground? Because he's not going fast enough to G out. Does a turn. Put some high alpha. I don't know why he did such a big turn there. He just put 30 degrees alpha on that bird, which is a bit weird. Height is good, 350 feet. And the height just drops. Height just drops. You can see what went wrong there. Let me know. He does the pull, and it's a big 30-degree alpha pull, but with a relatively low G-force because he's not going very fast. And then the height just drops. The whole plane just drops. Got any undulation there? Not really. He just shouldn't have died. Make of that what you will. We'll have to ask Trash how he died there, because he's within G limits. The alpha's high, but the alpha wouldn't kill him. And he just hits I get the feeling he was just going too low. He pulled right, and I think he probably hit a tree, because trees have physics now. That's the best guess I've got. So that was an error. It appears to be an error in flying. Whoops, don't do that. Okay, let's go and check out the rest of the boys. So Blood is doing his egress plan, so he's done his job and he's doing it properly. So rather than hanging around waiting to get shot, he's flying out, and he's flying out extremely fast. Look at that. It's got true 850 knots, and that's pretty much because we're down quite low. That's nearly 850 knots indicated, so that's extremely fast. In fact, we can see there, yep, calibrated, that's 830 knots. So what does he do wrong? He's not pulling any G. Everything's within limits. I don't think you can overspeed a Vigan. Huge kinetic energy, look. Ah, there we go. Right. So he's coming along here. He's perfectly happy. He's decided he's got farther enough away. Now he can turn back home. And he's just pulled too far back on the stick. Wow, look, he's already up at... The problem is when you're going so fast, this is Mach 1.3. That's extremely fast. Look, he's hardly turning at all, and he's already up at 6.5 G. He's just underestimated how much G he's pulling in that bird, basically. And he's going to overload the G, isn't he? 8G. 9G, so that's already the limit now of the pilot, so that's going to be the pilot blacking out if he goes any higher. 10G, that's the pilot blacked out. 11G, we're getting to the limits of the airframe now. 12G, still putting back on the stick. 13, and that's the wings falling off the plane. So just a needlessly big pull. So when you're going that fast, and this is the same in any plane obviously, you've got to be extremely careful how you pull. You've got to pull really, really carefully and slowly, and really feather it in, but just pull too hard and chop his wings off. So another cock up in flying, so let's not see any more of them. Completely wasteful. Now Stahl is going to do the same thing, I guess. Never had 3 Vigans all crash like this before. It's very strange. So Stahl exited, egressed perfectly. Then he did a 180 and he got lost, look. Oh dear, poor old Stahl. And then he headed towards the hostiles. And then went over the base. And I remember I took over at this point, started vectoring home, I think. So he starts getting back on vector home. And he's going fast, fast, fast. He's going over the mountain. Oh dear. Oh, that's an inverse G. Look, that's going to be a negative G. So, he's doing a great. Finally got his act together, and he's doing a great job escaping. He's got fast mirages after him, but the Vigan clean is pretty much the fastest thing in the world down low, as far as I'm aware. It's just so fast. It's just a bullet. Right. So he's going to go over this peak, and then after that he wants to get down, so he can block any. I think Stahl was a bit more panicky than he had to be here. I think he was trying to terrain mask these mirages, which is completely understandable. But the thing is, that Vigan is so fast that as long as you've got a few miles head start, you can literally just outrun them and even outrun the hostile missiles. So I think Stahl was being a little bit overcautious here. Anyway, let's see what he does. And we go into the negative G. Now, the human body can take loads of positive G, kind of 9G with a G suit for a little bit of time. But negative G is very, very difficult. You can pass out or you go unconscious much easier with just a few negative Gs. I'm not sure what the limit is, but it's just like 3 or something like that. It's very low. So, oh no, it doesn't go. No, my mistake. He rolls over and goes inverted, which is the correct way to do it. You want to avoid negative G, so he's going to roll over and go positive G. Ah, there's the problem. He's already up at 8G. So, problem appears to be that he's simply loaded too much again. So come over this mountain. He was going fast, and he was Mach 1. So it's over Mach 1, 1.1, 1.2. And so, again, that is the same thing. You can't pull back on that stick, or you're going to G-lock. And so we're up to 8G. So it only topped out, no, 9G. I saw a 9 there. I think that was enough to kill him. No, he's still in control. And there it is. There was the negative G, look. So that's an interesting move there. I saw a negative over plus, I saw beyond negative 5G, 3G there. So he's come over, he's done a roll, inverted, and it's when he turns and does the next roll to go in normal alignment. I think he's got forward stick on. He must have forward stick on, because the plane is now pushing that way. Pushing. I don't think he meant to have that much forward stick on, because when he's flying upside down, obviously the plane wants to drop down like that. So I think he's got forward stick on to keep the plane up, but he's got too much forward stick on, and as he's rolling it over, it's biting him in the ass, and it's pushing the plane that way and hitting him with negative G. And I get the feeling that's going to peak over 3, and that's him probably passed out. Yep, 3.2 negative. 3.7, 3.8 negative. So that plane is still pushing down. I'm guessing there's forward stick. Minus 3.8, 3.9 I saw a peak, and I think that's him passed out. Too much bud to the head, and that's out of control now. It's just going to cruise and hit the ground. So, a whole bunch of stuff to learn there. So trash, I'm guessing you just hit a tree, so don't hit a tree. Simple as that. Stahl, watch that forward stick. I'm guessing that was that forward stick that pushed you down, and then when you were rolling over, it just loaded up on that negative G, as we can see. And blood, just watch that positive G. I mean, there's no reason anyone should be pulling over 13 Gs. You know, that'll kill any plane pretty much immediately, I imagine. So, loads to learn there, vegan drivers. Just got to be more careful and practice your high-speed maneuvers. Practice your running at Mach 1.3 and having to maneuver, because that's something you will have to do. And the annoying thing is, this guy would never have caught him. The bit for the Mirage is just too slow. In fact, just pretty much everything is. Never mind. So that's that lot learned. Now we're going to run it back, and we're going to look at the next flight. Stand by. Okay, so we've rewound, and now we are watching Buick. So that's led by Tender, and it's got Cap and Sonic and Seth in it. So we've got two really laggy guys, Tender and Seth. But we should be fine, so stand by. And off we go. Our plan was for Buick, so Dagger, the vegans, were going to go around this way, and Buick, which is my lot, we're going to go roughly where the cursor is, and then come in from the south and pummel it from that direction. So we can just clip on the edge of that SAMnet in case the SAMnet wasn't destroyed. Now, you can see the first error here. First error is that we were flying way too high, and you can see just about, maybe not in that shot, but slightly before, maybe when we were going past that ravine, we could see the E2 Hawkeye. If we could see the E2 Hawkeye, that meant that it could see us, and that means that alerted the red fighters that we were going this way, and hence why you saw, I think, a couple of Mirages scrambling to intercept us, and they do end up intercepting us, which is rather annoying. So we're up right up 12,000 feet, way too high. Let's carry on. So I see the problem. I say get down, and we go down. Now we're okay. Now we should be protected, but it's too late. These guys are already heading to their station, and we reach our first waypoint. We come in, doing pretty well with height. You can see we keep blipping. We're not quite as low as the Vigans, so you can see we keep blipping in and out of the visibility of the Hawkeye. And we're not bad there. We're pretty low at this point. Probably slow that down a little bit. And we've chosen, Tender chose a lovely route for us, so that's some good work. A really protected canyon. And as soon as we get past this rock, we're going to be visible, unfortunately. And pow. And we're now visible to the Hawkeye, and that means the Hawkeye can relay that information on to the GCI, who can relay that on to the Mirages. So as soon as we're here, these guys know that we're here, and they're going to come and get us. So we had a decision to make at this point. I don't know the flanker very well, but the Harrier guys had at this point detected nails from these dudes here, and knew that they were quite close. So we had a decision to make. We could either all just go full power and bundle for the power station, which is what we did, and it just kind of worked out. Or the other idea that we could have done, and maybe should have done, is that I should have ordered the flankers, two flankers, to go and engage these guys, because the flankers, as well as having bomb doors, so have air-to-air missiles and intercept radar and whatnot, could have went to fight these Mirages. They might not have won, they may or may not have won, but they would have at least tied these Mirages up. And that would have definitely allowed the Harriers to go through and do the bombing. So we decided against that, and just to go for the target. I think it's probably my fault. I got a bit of target fixation there. So if we did this again, and we did get intercepted like this, it would be best for the flankers to turn right, intercept, and then you got 100% security of getting the other two guys through. But there you go. That happens. Right, so you can see that Wolf Shadow and Coffee are well on our case. Right, I had no idea they were this close. I thought they were like beyond 10 miles away. So we just got through by the skin of our teeth, look, 6 miles away as we just come out of the mountains. And at this point, I just say full burn and just go for it. And you can see the flankers really starting to pick up speed there. The flankers are over 600 knot true or 600 knot true, where they're topping out due to aerodynamics. The Harriers are topping out at 530. I mean, that's just fast enough, I guess. Sonic's going a lot faster than me. I don't know how he managed that. I guess he's got a lighter load. And we've got the first missile out. Let's have a look at that. It's a pretty good shot. That's from Wolf Shadow. It's a 4.5 mile shot on. I don't know really who is firing it, so I can't guess, but I'm guessing it's about 4.5 miles. And if you're chasing someone at low level, I know with an AMRAAM, it's about 4.5 miles. So it's just a tiny bit ambitious. It's about half a mile too long for shooting at a cold, fast target. And I do think I dodge it, or we dodge it. I'm looking back at the moment because I'm checking my 5 o'clock, and I do see that missile, if you remember in the movie. Come on, slow Harriers, move, move, move! Oh! And you see the missile just ran out of rocket or whatever happened to it, hit the ground. So, yep. But unfortunately now, he is 3 miles away from the rear aspect, and that is well within parameters for a kill shot now. So, I think one of these guys is about to go down. Cap's finally picking up speed. I'm up at 650 knots now, so there's no catching me anymore. So that is one good thing about sending the flankers forward and not engaging with the flankers, is that they are fast, fast, fast. Supersonic jet, obviously, and I'm almost Mach 1 now. So these Mirages probably never would have caught me up. So that's something of interest. Right, did we have another missile? No, no missile out yet. We're within kill parameters now, 2.5 miles. Take the shot. And there we go. Lovely shot. And that is a kill shot, unless we do some amazing dodging. Lovely bit of, well, Seth did see it, at least he saw it. He's not putting in G's though, he's not... Wow. That was interesting. So he's seen the missile, well done, good flying. He's done a bit of kind of... I don't know what he's done something there. He's only got up to 5G and 13 alpha, but amazingly it was enough to fool that missile. I would have said that missile should have hit. Obviously it got confused or something went wrong. Yep, it worked out well done. I don't think he knows how to use the countermeasures in the Harrier, so I don't think we saw any countermeasures. Now that missile, this Harrier is well within Fox 2 range for a cold target, so that's going to be a Fox 2 up the tailpipe, and there's no dodging that. Pow, out. But on the plus side, by kind of being the last one and kind of sacrificing himself, at least it allowed us to get through. And you can see Coffee's burning max speed, but still can't catch Cap up because Cap's just been going too fast. Right, now let's go and watch the actual bombing. So I'm actually really impressed that I managed to bomb this thing. I didn't see it till the last second, and then I had to quickly snap turn right. Somehow managed to get the aimer pipper on the target and get static, just get the bombs out. And I hit it, so I'm absolutely chuffed with that, because I'm not a ground attack guy at all. So let's see that. So that's what, 1 mile now, spotted it, cranked right quickly, on target. Bombs out, a couple of pair of Fab 500s, huge bombs, they'll kill anything. And it was pow, directly on target. And just in case that wasn't enough, Sonic, so even if I hadn't killed it, the Sonic was in with these S-25s. We made sure that he was rockets and I was bombs, so we've got everything covered. And those S-25s are so powerful, they probably would have killed it anyway. So we definitely had that target killed. The thing is, one thing is killing the target. What the other thing is surviving. We don't just want to kill the target, we also want to survive. That's part of our mission plan, is our egress and how we get the hell out of it. And this is where it started to fall down a bit, so let's see what happens. So, look at that. So Coffee was tracking me all along, saw that I was now turning hot into him. I didn't see this missile, I don't know what type it was, I'm guessing it's a Fox 2, but I don't know. Oh no, it was a Fox 1 and I did get a warning. But I was just turning, you know, I was determined to turn. I got height, which is bad, I should have stayed down low. Energy I've kept high, 500 knots, so it's not the end of the world. but at the end of the day, I didn't see the missile coming, and I just turned straight into it. But by the time I'd started counter-measuring, that was a hit. Caps down. Boo! So, we got another missile there. I don't know what that was going for. Let's just have a quick look. Okay, that must be a Fox 2 from Wolf Shadow at one of these boys. He didn't lock it right. He didn't lock it right. It never had a lock on anything. So that's lucky because it allowed to get tender his bombs out. Excuse me. And pow, I don't know what it hit exactly, but it hit, it did the job. So we killed that thing 3 times over, which was pretty good, pretty satisfying. Now Tender's in a world of pain. Or is he? No, somehow, I don't know how he survived that. Coffee was looking at me, and then he turned to look this way, but just never saw Tender dropping the bombs. Wolf Shadow was firmly fixed on that flanker. I guess the flanker's just a lot easier to see than this guy, and just right place, the right time. Tender just doesn't get spotted. Both of these guys are just concerned with killing that flanker. So it's lovely work. So let's go back and have a look at the flanker fight. Sonic has dropped his bombs, and he's doing a better egress than me. I turned tight and did a 180, which was a stupid idea, thinking about it, because I went straight into the mirages. So Sonic's done a slightly better idea of just cranking around slowly, so those mirages have to follow. And his plane's going to be a lot lighter with aerodynamic without those missiles now, so he should be able to fly a lot faster. But we'll see. Probably not fast enough, because look at the mirages, they're over 700 knots, really fast. So Coffee is at 3 miles, and I guess he's going to do a Fox 1. I don't know what type of missile he fires. Assume that was a Fox 1. On a cold target, just about going to reach it. Oh, that's a shame there, because if Sonic had seen it coming, he could have reversed, and that would have scrubbed that missile off completely. But to be honest, he's got two mirages in his tail at this point. I don't think he was never going to escape. There's nothing he could have done. Tender did the right thing by just running away. There's no reason for that Harrier to get in a dogfight and start shooting these guys. So Wolf Shadow comes in real fast. He's got a chance of overspeeding here because he's coming in so fast. He must be Winchester, so it's guns only. And now we are a dogfight. This is going to be interesting to see. So Sonic's keeping his energy beautifully, well over 500 knots. That's great. Wolf Shadow is just overspeeding and to make sure he doesn't over G. And let's have a look at some of these G forces. We saw some big G forces, 8.4 here. Let's see what Sonic managed. So they're really doing big pulls here. So Sonic's 6G, keeping his alpha well under control, 7G. Wolf Shadow is nearly 9G, so the big pulls there. And Wolf Shadow's, you see, he's had to do that much looser turn because he was coming in so fast. He was at his max G, he was over 8G basically. So he's had to do that much larger turn and turn it into a big lag pursuit. Which is just how it is. Now I see Sonic's true airspeed's going down right now. He's burning that off. I get the feeling he's not aerodynamic, and he may well be damaged from that first missile, remember, as well. It doesn't feel like a healthy flanker at that kind of speed. And he's starting to struggle now, losing the speeds, having to crank up the alpha. And what did the guys do? So Sonic came around here. And then Coffee did a nice turn, a big pull. Let's go and have a look at that big turn quickly. So Sonic's pulling in front of him. So Coffee can't get a lead, can't get a shot. Don't know why he's flaring. So he's had to do what he's had to do. He's had to keep his G, sustainable. It's nearly 8G, so he's done exactly the same thing. Done the right thing. So he's had to loosen out his turn and go into lag pursuit again. Meanwhile, his buddy is on the case, finally caught up. So the good thing about that bigger lag pursuit turn there is that he's kept his speed. It's over 600 knots still. The Mirage is great at that, and he allows him to catch this guy up pretty quickly, even though he's had to go further. Poor Sonic's starting to crank the alpha up over 20 degrees now, and jinking, doing everything he can just to put them off. Got head on head there with Coffee, and a merge. That was pretty cool. Look at the speed scrubbing down. Look at the energy. It's almost nothing. Don't know what that is, megajoules or something that's measured in, but it's going down and down. 200 knots true, so it's almost down to stall now. So, and his alpha's unsustainably high. So he's probably got an engine malfunction at this point, and he's going to struggle to get energy back in the jet. and by the time he starts finally leveling out, you can see he starts to come off the Alpha finally. 26, and that's going to go down. He puts the nose forward. He's going to start whacking his energy back up now and getting speed up, but by the time he's doing that, he's dead. And he never really stood a chance, I don't think. I mean, you could argue he did have a shot at some point there. You could argue that he had could have snapshot on Coffee here when he was merging, but it's much easier said than done to, you know, lock someone up, play it through in real time. That's 1 and 2, kind of 1.5 seconds before a merge. So you'd have to have a really good reaction to snap lock someone that quick and fire. So, yeah, it's good that he survived that long. Right, that is the end of Buick. So one of us got away at least. So we're fully intercepted by 2 Mirages. We got the bombs down, we did our mission, but we lost 75% of the men, which is a shame because I'd like to keep 75 of the men and only lose 25. That's my job. Never mind. Let's go back and look at the next flight. Okay, so following the next flight, the third flight, which was our cap cover. This was the F-15s of Sabre. You will note there's only 2 men. That's because Sherman had technical problems and he's still back at the base somewhere, which was a bit annoying, but 2 F-15s is still pretty good. So unfortunately they started off late because they were waiting for Sherman, but they did catch up. You can see I'm shouting at them here to get fast, and they're over 700 knots true, so they're turning and burning. So let's see that through. So their job is to get to the edge of this SAMnet, if you remember the briefing, pummel missiles in, long range, to the Mirages while staying safe, and just distracting the Mirages. That was their job. If they distract the Mirages, those Mirages can't come down and kill the big uns or come kill us. So the first thing we note is their altitude. Well, the speed's great. I mean, true 860 is a lovely speed. Mach 1.5, fully loaded. That's pretty awesome. But we note their altitude, 30,000 feet. I hate 30,000 feet, and the other guys are 30,000 feet. It's within cons, so they're really easily viewable. You could argue that's maybe kind of what they wanted to do. They wanted to be viewable, but generally you should keep out of cons whenever possible when in combat. It's a massive giveaway to any hostile. But also, I don't like being up here because the F-15 doesn't particularly like it up here. It can cruise up here, but it can't really fight up here. The air's too thin, and it just doesn't like to maneuver up here. I always say the optimal altitude for the F-15 is 20,000 feet, or slightly below. The reason is that is usually below cons, depending on the weather, and it is just optimal for the amount of thrust that you get, the thickness of the air to allow the wings to work. So that's what you want to be. When you're up here, you're a little bit vulnerable for the 2 reasons I said, visibly and lack of aerodynamics. So they're doing their job. They're coming above us lot. Just trying to see who they're going to intercept. Probably those boys there. So the Mirages are up high as well. The Mirages are slightly different. The Mirages like to use a dive bombing technique. Again, though, they're putting themselves in danger by going so high. I think they've just detected these F-15s are coming in because they're now turning into the F-15s and gaining altitude. And they like to do that because they like to do this kind of dive bombing technique that they do to help the Mirage's shortfalls. The Mirage is very fast, but its missiles don't have a particularly long range. They like to do a dive bomb attack, fire a missile to send the blue guy cold, and then use the energy, the potential energy from the dive bomb to catch them up and kill them. However, there are massive dangers. The weird thing is you'd think an airplane is safer the higher it goes. You think of the SR-71 Blackbird, but it's basically invincible because it went at 90,000 feet and travelled so fast. However, when it comes to air-to-air combat like this, it's not really true. The higher you go, in many ways, the more vulnerable you are. A, you're more visible because of cons, unless these guys are going above cons, which they probably are. B, you just can't manoeuvre up there. There's just the air's too thin, the wings don't work, and you're going to burn your energy off trying to manoeuvre, and you will need to manoeuvre if a missile gets shot at you. And the other thing is, I always say the higher an aircraft goes, a jet engine goes, the weaker it gets, which is true, and just the weaker the plane gets as well due to lack of aerodynamics. But the thing is, the higher you go, the better a missile gets. So a missile is a non-air breathing engine, and it just likes going higher. It would love it in space where there's no air at all and no friction. So the higher you go, the crappier you make your aeroplane, the better you make a missile that's being fired at you, which is why you'll never see Cap go above Angels 20 or Angels 25, because it's just a death trap being up there. Anyway, get the feeling that's what bites them in the arse. Let's carry on. So Signore presumably has a track on these guys, and I'm guessing he's cranking 40 degrees to the right, which is bang on the money. It's just what we like to see. Skay's coming to back him up. Skay is interestingly slow. I don't know why Skay's so slow. In fact, Signore is slow. So if you remember my various training videos, when you're heading into combat, you are going to be your bags will be off for maximum aerodynamics. You will be full burn. You will be 700 or 800 knots. So these is very slow driving. Very bad for combat. It may just be that he hasn't seen the hostiles yet. That may be what's going on. And now look at his return. Oh, so look, it's put him. I know he doesn't get shot down, but he's got plenty of fuel. He doesn't need to worry about his fuel. But this is 400 true airspeed, so that's what, about 300. No, look, he's right the way down to 270 knots indicated airspeed. So it's a horrible place to have an F-15 in a battle area with no energy in the jet. He's got no energy in the jet. Don't go any slower than 400 indicated. Got to keep fast all the time, and that includes up here. You're going to put yourself at a massive disadvantage. So if you're in an F-15 and you're in a combat area, go everywhere fast. You must have that energy banked in your plane in case, in case a mirage suddenly pops up from here that you didn't see. He needs that energy banked in so that he can convert it into a dive or a turn or whatever. So don't cruise. At the moment, they're just cruising, which is bad. Okay, Signore's seen these guys finally, and he's now doing the right thing. He's now got his burners on, and look at that energy go up. And look at that speed go up. It should have been like that all the time, but let's carry on. So he's dropped his bags there, which is good, and let's set the fight up. I'm guessing he goes after recoil, so he's dropped his bags of 31 miles, which is perfect. He's listening to his training. And he's now going to go full burn. And it's difficult to say what angels you're going to be. These mirages are up really high. I hate fighting high mirages. So you've got a choice now. You can keep at your F-15 angels, which is about angels 20, or you can go up and meet them at angels 40. If you go up and meet them at angels 40, your plane can do that, but it means you have to do an extra bit of maths in your head to work out the firing distance of your missile. If you stay down lower, I find it a bit easier to work out your firing distance on the fly. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong there, but also I like to stay lower down here, down at angels 20, because I've got better air for manoeuvring and I can dodge any missile they can send at me. So if it was me, I'd probably stay low. And he is, where's the distance? The distance has gone at 20 something miles. So you've got recoil as the back one, Fortinero is the front one. Fortinero is turning cold for whatever reason, I don't know why. Oh dear, Skay is completely ballsed up. You can see he's there. He's got his aircraft at a high angle of attack, and he's essentially stalling. He's true airspeed 300. That's pretty much a stall for an F-15. That's like 200, within stall. It's like 200 indicated. So he's just flown really badly into a combat area, put himself almost into a stall. So Skay is basically a dead man, if any Mirage wants to call him. So that's a real red flag, what not to do. Like I said, got to keep low alpha, got to keep fast at all times. You just putting yourself in every world of hurt there. So that's a good thing to learn. However, we have Signore here, who's a bit more experienced, and we've got, I can't see that range. It's 20 miles, a 20-mile shot. So that's a 20-mile shot. That missile can't really hit that guy unless he essentially runs into it. So it's not a kill shot, but it's a posturing shot. Is doing that because he doesn't really want to kill these mirages. To kill a mirage, you've got to get in closer. You've got to go within 10 miles to get a decent shot off, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to put himself at risk. All he wants to do is keep them busy, keep them away from my cast flight and Blood's cast flight, and it's exactly what he's doing. As long as that AMRAAM's being fired, that these mirages can't go down and attack the ground units, because that AMRAAM's giving all kinds of warnings in his aircraft. It's telling, and he's going to have to be manoeuvring and concentrating on this. So he just wants to do exactly what he's doing. Long bombs, in this case, because he's not trying to kill them. He's just trying to keep them busy. Turn around, back in, long bomb. Turn around, back in, long bomb. He should be changed to running with this guy, but this guy's fucked up, obviously. So there you go. Let's see that missile go through. There's one thing to say is that, although that's not a kill shot, and you'd be amazed, you'd be an idiot if you did get killed by it, like I said, missiles love Angel's 40. That missile will absolutely tear through the air. Look, it's already 2.5 kilonauts, and that's a real problem for Recoil, and Recoil can't maneuver up there. He's got nowhere. All he can do is basically drop out the sky and hope for the best. So those Mirages put themselves in a world of pain, and it really is their own fault. And Recoil has spotted that too late. It went pitbull about here, so it was fired. It was essentially silent as far as this guy knew until about there. Then it went pitbull, and then it's now time for. Then he knows it's being fired at him. He's getting a warning at this point because the radar's going on this missile. But because it's up so high, I get the feeling he's going to cock up, and you can see he's having to go just to do a maneuver. He's having to go alpha over 20 because it's up so high. And there, he's at stall alpha. He's put himself into stall alpha because he's trying to turn for the missile, but there simply isn't any air up there for him to turn. His wings aren't working, so he's just putting his plane into a stall, and his burn is going to burn his energy right down. It's probably 200 knots ground now, or 250. And by the time he tries to correct it, look, he starts unloading the alpha. He's down to very, very slow. I mean, for that height, that's about, I don't know, 190 knots or something. Indicated, and that's got, this missile's got nothing left. It's got hardly any energy, but because the Recoil can't do anything, he can't get any maneuverability in the plane. So he was just sitting down, and that's actually a fantastic example of what I keep saying. If you're going to go high, you're extremely vulnerable. That missile should never have killed anyone in a Mother of Sundays. It's purely because he was up there. He put himself into that danger. So I hope I've drilled that in a bit. Right, and Signal has done exactly what it's supposed to do. And because we've got time, why don't we go and just look what kind of pull he was doing? Okay, he went a bit funny here. I don't know why he did an S. He should have just turned and gone. So he did finally get into it. He's not loading the G at all. He didn't really need to load the G at all. He wasn't in any air threat. If it was me, I would have still loaded the G. I would have still loaded up to kind of 7 or 8 G, and because it gives you more. I don't know how to explain this. It's just worth. I always say fly 100% or nothing. So don't do this small kind of pussy turn. Basically, go 100%, even if you don't think you're in danger. Because if you'd have done the 9G pull, he would have come out slightly ahead of where he is now with a low G pull. And every little bit counts, that just gives him a bit more of an advantage on the pull away in case there was, a Mirage sneaking up for a belly shot or something. So try and always work yourself to the limits, and it'll always help you in the long run. You'll see the really good pilots out there, virtual pilots out there, they're always on the limit of their aircraft. Because if you're not, then you're not essentially using the aircraft to what it can be. Anyway, I've talked enough about that. So Shinran's done a good job otherwise. He's turned cold when he decides that he's safe, which is after, it could be 5 miles, 10 miles, it depends on the situation. I like to go 10 miles if possible. He'll turn round and start the whole thing again. Skye is finally getting the idea, he's finally getting energy into his bird now, after that built up earlier on. Right, let's run that through now. So he's gone 5, 6, 7 miles, something like that, and he's turned in, and he's done it all very well. He's kept energy in the bird, is 600 knots true, so that's all lovely flying. And now he's just snooping around left and right with his radar. One thing to point out at this point, if you're going to be up high, and they are up fairly high, the F-15 is probably the best plane in the world for kind of head-on-head fights, i.e. if there's like we saw there, a Mirage coming towards it, head-on, give or take, it's probably the best thing in the world, apart from probably the new stealth, F-22 and the T-50, but they're a different generation, I guess you call them, so. But in terms of contemporary competitors, it's probably the best thing. So it really rules the airspace in front of it. But it does have weak points, obviously. It is extremely susceptible to what I call a belly shot. So that is a hostile. It's probably the easiest way to kill an F-15 is either to drag it down to dogfight with you, where its advantages become almost a disadvantage, like its high speed and stuff like that. And the other way of killing it is a belly shot. So you can drive down really low, your plane down here, almost outside the range limits of that F-15 radar, and then come up and belly shot it. I think we see one of them later. So that's another way of taking down an F-15. And the only other thing to point out is that if this F-15's high, he knows the hostiles are only 20 or so miles ahead of him, so he wants to do what we call radar sleeving. So his radar points out in a rough cone, almost like a thin slice of cake. It's fairly fat that way, but vertically it's quite thin. And so what he wants to do is be flying along and basically aiming the radar, because you can aim the radar down, 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 like that, all the way down, and then slowly up again, and then down, 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 down. So you're covering all of this kind of altitude segment in front of you, and you'll keep doing that. It'll be your non-stop up and down very slowly, so enough so that it can pick up any targets that it sees, and you'll call that vertical radar sleeving. And so that means that instead of just thin vertical slice in front of you, you're covering everything. Vertical radar sleeving, and that allows you to pick up targets that are coming in to belly shot you. So hopefully that's what these guys are doing. I think Skay doesn't do it later on, which is why he gets screwed up. Right, so Fortinero died. Okay. Oh no. Oh, now this is absolutely gorgeous. He's not going to like this. What did he do? He was just flying along, and he didn't get shot or anything. And he's got so fast. Look at that speed. What the hell is he doing? Oh dear, the D3 Reds didn't have a very... He's flaring? For no reason. No one's got a lock on him. He's not over-G'ing. He's just flying really fast downwards. And that is going to be a crash, I guess. So his pilot's not passed out. He just crashes. Thank God he did, because he would have been slaughtered this guy, so... Okay. Fortinero at his finest there. Don't know what that was, he'll have to explain himself. Lots of stupid flying on this mission. Okay, anyway, so we've seen some great flying from Signore. Anything else? So what happened there? So he's done the cold turn, then he's done a hot turn, he's backing, he's hopefully sleeving. So he has... so basically, both of these Mirages have died, one shot down and one just crashed. So he's now looking for targets. His altitude is lovely, kind of Angels 15 for hunting ground low targets. It's fantastic. So he's cleared the airspace out with his radar. He's happy there's nothing there. So he thinks the only threats are down low. I'm calling at this point that I'm in trouble. So in he comes, which is great to see him coming in. He's got his energy extremely high, low, or 8 megajoules or something. Someone will have to tell me exactly what that represents. And we've got missiles out. I didn't know these missiles happened, so this is good to see. So what is he firing at? So he's firing at Wolf Shadow, and it's not within kill range down at this kind of altitude and aspect. We can interpolate that's about a 7 or 8 mile kill shot, but it doesn't matter. He's just trying to help Sonic out by sending a missile out to scare these guys off. Don't know whether it had any effect at all or not. And then he's turning cold. He's going up. Going to turn cold, yeah. And the missile was obviously defeated because it wasn't within parameters. I don't know what it's doing at the moment. It's kind of done a weird thing here. So at that point, he fired that missile. At that point, it should have been thinking, okay, well, I've got two choices at this point. I fired this missile. I can A, go in and help them out and shoot them closer in, or B, I turn around and fly away. There's nothing else you should be thinking. But he seems to get confused and just kind of just dilly-dallies. So he should have been in, full burn, and pump his missiles out, or out and get out. But instead, he climbs slightly, rolls over slightly, and just kind of doesn't really make his mind up at what he's doing. And kind of sort of turned cold, then sort of turned hot again. So that was a little bit of a... no, it's done something. It's got a missile out. So I think what he did, I imagine what happened, because that's just weird flying, so what probably happened is he fired his missile and then probably lost lock from the target. I imagine that's what happened, because that the target went to a certain aspect that his radar couldn't pick it up anymore. And at that point, he wasn't sure whether to, he was probably busy working his radar, trying to re-get them, and that's why the flying was all weird. And he finally did get the radar lock again, apparently, and he's fired a missile out, and let's have a look at that. So it's pretty good so far. He's helping his buddy out and doing what he needs to do to acquire lock. One tiny criticism is that he knew where the target was before he lost it, so he didn't need to do this huge S It would have been much more efficient for him to just come down in a straight line. He could have acquired the target faster if he was going to do that, but it's all fine. So he's got an 8... it must have been about a 10-mile shot that he took. Again, he's only really trying to scare him, so... and this is why Coffee was countermeasuring, right. So I didn't know where this guy was in the fight. A missile's going to come in. It's not going to be a kill shot because it's just too far away. Out of parameters, and this guy's manoeuvring too hard. It's obviously nothing that missile can do to catch that. And then Signore is off. So, yeah, I told him not to get in a dogfight, and he didn't get in a dogfight, so I can't really criticise there at all. And he's burning out 700 knots. Yep, so, yeah, that's the way it works out. Skay's dead. Where's Skay die? Here's a great example of what not to do in this F-15. So Skay's flying extremely high. Again, I just can't see any point in flying up that high. He's conning, so he's a massive target. And as well as that, he's exceedingly slow. Let's have a look. He's cruising around at 280 knots calibrated. So that's literally as slow, almost as slow as you can go before you start falling out of the sky. It's just really, really bad. He's got no energy in the bird at all. So if anything happens, he's in a world of pain. And he can't maneuver up there at Angels 30 either. And as well as that, he's not radar sleeving. He should be, if you absolutely have to fly around really slow and really high, you've got to be super good on the radar. So that radar has got to be sleeving down here and up here and down here and up here. And then he would have picked this Mirage up because it's a hot aspect. There's no reason why I wouldn't have picked it up. It's well within radar parameters. But it hasn't done it. It's just cruising lightly, looking for stuff up here. That's bad. Look for stuff down here. And don't, for fuck's sake, be up there and be that slow. It's all his own fault. So, this is going to be ugly. I don't think this guy just ever even really sees recoil. Hugely easy target for him. It's a big conning, slow-moving target. It might as well be an Airbus. It's getting slower and slower, look. Down to 250 knots. This guy should be 5. This guy should be 700 knots or 600 knots or something. Such an easy target. And it's going to be a lovely belly kill. So, like I was saying earlier, one of the easiest ways to kill an F-15. And look how slow he is. 240 knots. He's going to fall out of the sky. And a nice easy missile, and rightly so. Look at him trying to dodge at this point. What are you going to do at Angels 30 at 230 knots? Absolutely nothing. That F-15 is completely useless. It might as well be a Cessna. Nothing you can do to dodge. You've got nothing in the bank. And he's rightfully dead. So, watch that, be embarrassed, and learn from it. So, Signore was covering Tender's exit. Tender's going slow because he's in a Harrier. He can't go any faster. Hostiles start chasing Tender because the hostiles are allowed to chase us. And you can see we've got Mirages coming in, picking up speed, 600 knots from those guys going towards Tender. I'm telling Tender to go the right way because he's going slightly the wrong way at the moment. No, actually, I think it's good. And Tender calls in that he's in trouble because he's got this guy recoils chasing him at 600 knots. So Signore, who's got some gas in the jet, turns round and does a beautiful intercept. And it was also helping out Stahl, who ends up killing himself anyway. But 37 miles. So Signore is just all he's doing is doing SCT locks, trying to distract these guys as much as possible, and he does successfully distract one of them. He's distracted Wolf Shadow. And let's see what happens. As he's doing stuff. Oh, he's fired missile. Let's get Wolf Shadow up. So it's 15 miles. He's probably seen Wolf Shadow on his radar. 15 miles. It's beautiful. It's not a kill shot, as we know. At any of these parameters, it's well out of parameters. But it's going to distract him. That'll go pitbull now. And you'll see Wolf Shadow turning around and running away. There he goes. Bit of indecision there. You see, first he turned into the mountain. Decided he didn't want to turn into the mountain. And then he turned away. But he had enough time in hand to get away. Another missile out on this guy, Coffee, just to send him cold and distract him. So it's great flying from Signore there. And as well as doing that, he's kept energy in the jet. He's kept 600 knots. He's done everything right. Lovely turn, out of combat. Very positive, very aggressive. And now he's heading home. He's satisfied he's put these guys cold. He's got so much energy in the jet now. Look at it, we've got all this 6,000 energy in the jet, and he can just charge home. Nothing can catch him up. So he's safe. Annoyingly, I told him not to burn all his fuel, and so of course he burnt all his fuel away. It drives me nuts. So he had to do a dead stick landing, but at least he saved the bird. One more flight, it's the A10 flight. Now, this is obviously the controversial flight. I let my guys fly whatever they want, because they should have that decision. I expect them to make mature decisions. I told them not to be A10s, because there's no way we can factor A10s into this mission. We would have had to have waited... have we got a clock here anywhere? Yeah, we're at 20 minutes. So it took these guys 20 minutes to fly from there, roughly, to there. And the vegans simply couldn't wait that long. The vegans needed the surprise, and they needed the dark lights to get in there to get the mission done. So we couldn't wait for these guys, and they knew it. So now they're just flying over, basically on a suicide mission. It's simply, I can't see the point of flying close air support subsonic planes into a fast strike mission. And they do all rightfully get shot down. However, that said, they do get bombs on target. Whether they would have got bombs on target if they came in first with us, I very much doubt it, but that remains to be proven. So, luckily, very luckily for them, Signore has sent these two guys cold. If that hadn't happened, Wolf Shadow would have come down here and just picked all these guys off with his guns, or whatever. So, that's a bit of luck. They get in a canyon, and they're on for target. Now, these Mirages don't know that they're here. They've been so busy tied up with this lot, they think everyone's run away now. So there's a lot of confusion now, and you got Fortinero flying up here, not really doing anything. There's a lot of confusion before AWACS starts to tell them that these A10s are here. And they do finally get there. So we've got Wolf Shadow. So the A10s have made it. I'm amazed they've made it so far. They've got 10 miles into the flat land, which is really impressive. And luckily, all they've got after them is this guy, who's guns only, and Coffee, who I think is guns only as well. So Riddle's pulling ahead now, 320 knots. Wolf Shadow comes in. Now, he's guns only, so he can't just fly in and strafe them at 600 knots. He'll just end up killing himself. He has to slow down and merge. As we've talked about before, if you want to kill a slow target with guns, you've got to slow down and merge on it. It's very dangerous to go in for a fast lead attack. And so that's what it's going to do. It's bunged his air brakes out, he's done whatever he can, and he's starting to bring his speed down. He sees this guy. That's a beautiful mistake that he makes here now. He doesn't see Elo. Elo's got the digital camo on his jet, and it's beautifully well blended to this kind of green grass. And so Wolf doesn't see him and just sees this guy. And we get a beautiful result, which we'll see in a second. There's no point hurrying, although actually there was, because these guys are going to get their bombs on target, but never mind. Slowly coming in for a merge. It's down to 400 knots, excuse me. Slices over Elo. Elo's like, what the hell's going on? Shoots that guy easily. But because he missed the camo guy, that is a aim-9 out, which is an excellent missile. And Gonzalo is formidable in air-to-air in an A-10, if he's shooting a hostile. And that is that guy down. Ah, Elo turned round. Wonder why I turned round. I don't know why I turned round. He's got such a lead on Coffee, he might have escaped. Maybe I'm wrong. But Elo decided to turn around and attack Coffee, which is fair enough. Put some countermeasures out just for good measure. Super low. It's a shame he didn't get shot in here, because again, that A10 can be lethal at this close range. But just couldn't get the signature. No, just didn't see him. And that is a shot in the game. Oh, he dodged. Beautiful. It's very nice. Oops. And he just passes too much of the plane there, I think. Yeah, I saw that go above 30 degrees alpha. In an A10, it's just too much. It just departs. Right. Anything else? These guys, so those two rear guys have sacrificed themselves. These two were just faster because of their loadout or whatever. They were faster. And they get through on target. You've got Mavericks out from the Riddler. Power strike. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point because the building's already destroyed. So what we should have done is just call them back to base before they even got into combat. But it's a bit unfair to ask them to fly all this way and then come back, so we'd let them in. And Tony's in with guns. Just a note, those buildings, all these buildings that are around here cannot be killed by any kind of guns, including the Gal, so that was no point. Coffee's slow getting his ass back into gear, but he's getting here finally. And he's in. 600 knots, and thump. He's got to do a massive brake or some kind of yo-yo or something to burn off that speed now, because he's coming into slow planes head on. Takes a shot, but it's really hard to get those fast, kind of opposing lead shots in. And you've really got to be behind them. And he's going to do his high yo-yo to burn off his speed. He's now seeing them, he's looking down at them. Beautiful GBU from Riddle. And that's great flying, and that took all of everything out that was there, basically, all the buildings. And now Coffee's gotten himself into a little bit of trouble. Well, not trouble, but difficulty, because it's actually really hard killing these A10s, I know from experience. A, they soak up a lot of pounding, but B, if you're guns only, which he is, you essentially need to fly in formation to kill them. And it's very hard to fly in formation with a kind of fairly high wing-loaded Delta with a low wing-loaded straight-wing plane. They just fly so differently. The A10s can fly so much slower. So Riddle knows he's in trouble. Coffee's got to burn speed off the jet, so there's doing that now. He's trying to get down to the 300 knots true. Riddle's done well to keep some of speed. He's jinking. Jinking, slowly burning off his speed, very hard. So Coffee's aiming computer is, when this guy's rolling, like you saw him rolling there, it messes up the aiming computer for the gun sight in this plane. It's almost better not to have an aiming computer at that point and just have a crosshair or something. And you can see, you just can't, there's no point of him firing at that point. As long as this guy's jinking, this guy can't aim. As soon as he stops jinking, he'll be able to hit. Yeah, there, I think he got a slightly hit there. And now the problem for Riddle at this point is he's all out of energy. He is 180 knots calibrated, basically. But the plus side is, Coffee stalled himself by slowing down like that. This A10 can still just about manoeuvre because of its wing and wing loading. This plane here can no longer manoeuvre. It's got to fly at such a high alpha, it can't manoeuvre. So all he can do is turn around and come back in again. So this is why I was saying it's so hard to guns kill an A10 like this, because it can fly so slow, and a modern fighter can't do that. It has to fly at such a high alpha, it would be impossible. So Coffee's done the right thing, he's gone around, bought himself some space, done a tight loop, and now he can come in again. He can build a little bit of speed up, catch up, and this is the way to kill him. In that time, Riddle's managed to get some speed back in the bird, but I think he might be an engine down, because that seems to be topping out at 260. So he's got, as soon as this guy's in gun range, he's got to start jinking if he wants to survive. It's gun range, and you can see the jinking starting. Too aggressive there, burnt 70 knots off. More jinking, dropping a bomb for some reason. More jinking. Oh, it worked. Yep, look at that, beautiful. And Coffee's at to Cobra. To get out of that. So, very rarely see that. Let's see that again. So, let's see what... Yeah, Coffee just came in too fast. He put too much speed in the bird. He couldn't get a gun fix because this guy was jinking. So it was impossible to make a kill shot. So there's only one thing he can do. He can either spin round again, which is maybe what I should have done. But he said he did a Cobra. So that's a yank back on the stick, maybe air brakes on. And look how quickly he burns off that speed. And this stupid alpha, 35 degrees alpha to do that. 40 degrees alpha. Ridiculous. And he stalled himself down to 80 knots. That is no longer flying, that aeroplane. That is now just a piece of metal. And burner's on, and he's flying again. He's leveled it out and he's flying again. Didn't know a Mirage could do Cobra that well, so that's really good to see. Starting to get energy back in the bird. And this, it's such a long guns fight because these planes are just so opposite to each other. We've got more jinking from Riddle. As long as Riddle keeps jinking, this guy can't kill him. So just keep doing that. Look how far we've travelled. Oh, and Coffee just managed to get a shot on. I think he was jinking as well. It's just, yeah. Yeah, well, Riddle didn't really do anything wrong. He just ran out of luck at the end. And Tony died. I think he came in and got shot by... not sure what he got shot by... Tony got shot by Fort and Arrow. Wow, didn't see that. So Fort and Arrow was pounding Tony, and that's great to see him pounding from up so high and seeing so far down low. Very hard to do that, get a radar to do that, to look down low and see a target manoeuvring down there. Tony dodges the missile, probably more likely doesn't even know it's fired. Fort and Arrow coming in, ridiculous speed. And this is going to foxtail up the tailpipe. Pew, pop, dead. Very good. Right, we've covered everything. Loads of stuff to learn there as ever. Lots of mistakes, lots of good stuff. Any comments, make them, and we'll go through them. Otherwise, we hope you enjoy the show.